Physical education and sport play a crucial role in the education process. An active lifestyle goes a long way towards creating a healthy society. One important consideration during exercise is hydration, which is the process of providing an adequate amount of liquid to bodily tissues. In this presentation, specialist in sports medicine Dr. Adrian Lord will discuss some of the important elements of hydration. Dr. Lord is a director of the Barbados Olympic Association, Inc., and president of the Barbados Sports Medicine Association. He is currently secretary of the Pan American Sports Medicine Federation and also chairman of the National Anti-Doping Commission of Barbados and the Caribbean Regional Anti-Doping Organization. He starts by highlighting the reasons why adequate hydration is important when participating in physical activity.
In physical activity, one uses a lot of energy, and this energy, when it be it from muscles use, it burns up energy, and therefore it uses some of the body water to get this energy. So therefore, if you work those muscles too hard, they can run hot, or they don't get enough water or enough hydration in order to do what they have to do. And when they don't do that, they then cry out. You get the various heat illnesses, the cramps, the strokes, the exhaustion, and then you're unable to function. So you lose a lot of body fluids through just breathing. You will be breathing a lot more rapidly, through sweating, where you can lose a lot of body fluids through sweating. So that alone can make you dehydrated if not well hydrated. So you need to keep your body loaded with water so that you will prevent this thing from occurring. If proper hydration is not observed, one can suffer, as I said, the consequences of heat illnesses, especially in the Caribbean and in Barbados, where we are exercising in a hot environment year round, where the ambient temperature is 28, 29, 30, 31, and the hot sun that we do participate. Depending on your sport, you can have problems if you don't keep well hydrated. So it's important to keep yourself hydrated before, during, and after you replace those fluids that you may have lost. If you don't do this, then you're likely to have various problems that can occur. The heart wouldn't function properly, the kidneys wouldn't function properly, your brain wouldn't function properly, and your muscles wouldn't function properly. Yes, they're more essentially reversible once there's no serious damage occurred as a result of it, if you don't get into heat strokes, so to speak. So it is primarily reversible. So you have various degrees of heat illnesses. You have the exhaustion, where you may just have rapid pulse, sweating profusely, may or may not be this, but cramps, muscle cramps may occur. And then the heat stroke, which is the last stage or more severe stage, where you're mentally confused, you can become, seizures may occur, along with the other things. The fever, actually your body temperature goes up very high, and that's why at the end of some events one sees water baths and ice baths to get those person's temperatures right down as quick as possible. Intravenous fluids are then, or what we would call a drip, are then encouraged to be used at that stage, and that's an emergency which requires hospitalization. Muscle breakdown tissues is also another problem that can occur in that situation. You can lead to kidney failure and liver failure, and a number of other complications can occur, and it can be fatal if not properly treated. Children who are playing sports, or athletes generally who are involved in any sporting activity, can easily determine that. One can weigh themselves before any competition or any physical activity, be it just be exercise, training, or it is a game, and then weigh yourself after. And any change in the weight does indicate that you've lost too much body fluids and you need to replace those body fluids by liter. 1 kilogram would be equal to a similar amount in liters of fluid that you need to replace. So any change in weight, you should be they're the same weight as you were before. I mentioned 70% of the body structure is water. So if you lose these things, lose water, you need to replace it as quick as possible. That's one way. The other thing would be to check your urine concentration. And if your urine is dark yellow or brown, then that means that it's really too concentrated. Your urine should be pale or white even. So you need to keep yourself well hydrated. And those are simple, practical methods that can be used to determine these things. Of course, more complicated things is looking at specific gravity of the urines and so on and so forth, but that's more technical. But just by simply doing those type of things, one can determine how much fluid you lost and how much fluid you really need to put back in. So essentially what you need to do is monitor yourself. Monitor yourself during training, monitor yourself during competition, so that you will know what is optimal for you. Usually no, taking in too much fluid is not much of a problem, because once your kidneys are working properly, if you take in too much fluid, then more fluid will come out. If you have kidney failure or heart failure, then that would be a problem, and you probably would not be involved in sport and activity at that level. But young children generally in Barbados wouldn't have that problem. If you take in too much fluid, then it will pass better. And if you notice, and then it would be very dilute, it would be very clear when it does come back out. So there's no danger or risk that you would take in too much fluid. As I said, we can check and see how much fluid is necessary, and you can use an indicator, as we mentioned before, to determine how much fluid you need to take in. Children don't like water. They don't like the taste, they don't like the color. And by having colored drinks does excite children a lot more. The sports drinks are manufactured to be at the same osmolality, in other words, the same concentration of water, so that it will be readily absorbed. And water, as I said, is the best drink. If you get a sports drink, then that will be at the right concentration to be also similarly absorbed. Cooler drinks are better than hot drinks, so they're more quickly absorbed. These sports drinks are made at specific concentration, not only of the water, but it gives you a certain amount of glucose, a certain amount of salts as well, to help with your bodily function. So sports drinks happen a little extra than water. Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be room temperature. If it is cooler than room temperature, it's even better. I mean, any fluid is better than no fluid, but it doesn't have to be room temperature. No, that's not dangerous at all. Pouring cold water on the body helps to prevent the various losses that one can get as a result of the illnesses. You lose from evaporation and condensation and so on. So when you pour water, you try to reduce that loss of fluids by changing the body temperature, or if you're getting warm, it tends to cool down the body. But the best fluid really is to be taken by mouth, and if you're taking that fluid, that will help to rehydrate you much, much better. Fruit is good because fruit gives you some other additional benefits in rehydrating you, but because it is slower to be absorbed, it is not really recommended during competition. After competition, yes, but during competition, it doesn't help. In long races, people use things like bananas or maybe apples to give them some additional carbohydrate push. Yeah, that is in long races, Tour de France or a marathon cycling race or something of that nature. But generally, in what events that our children will be taking part in, the fruits are not recommended. You could also take fruits during prior to exercise, because they do help to build up that carbohydrate load. So I'm not saying fruits are not good. Fruits are, during competition, it can cause problems. Before competition, no problem. After competition, no problem. It's always difficult to get people to recognize hydration as important for them. They may say, oh, it is a cool environment, especially when they travel. They think it's because it's cooler that these things won't happen, but your muscles are going to still be working, and in a cool environment you still need to continue to be even more hydrated because of different humidities and so on that may be there. So you need to do this, and athletes need to get acclimatized to whatever environment that they need to participate in. So if they're going to be taking part in an event in a cooler environment, they need to get there early enough so that they can do it. Or if they're going to be competing an event at during the day, then they need to make sure that they're trained at that time so that they will know how much fluid that they need to do it. But athletes fear, even if they're in any particular sport, to stop to take water is a waste of time. You see in soccer, you have the water at the sidelines. In cricket, you see the 12th man and the emergency fielders bringing on water, and around the boundaries, you see a lot of sports drinks or water being given to the various cricketers, especially a fast bowler after a long spell will go and take a few sips of the liquid, and that is what maintains the hydration. Cricketers, if they're batting, they need to they frequently call for water. They have on the bat, they have the pads, the helmet, and that causes them to be pretty hot. So they need to keep that going. In tennis, you see it, in all sports you see it, but some sportsmen just ignore it and try to do it naturally and suffer the consequences. What's happening now is that because of science, people recognize the importance of hydration, and they realize that in order to maintain their fitness, one, maintain their concentration, two, maintain their muscle strength and power, they need to keep hydrated, and they recognize this. As more and more cricket is being played, a lot of science is going into cricket, and therefore they're recognizing the importance of taking the fluids as often as they can. As we said, you're not going to become overhydrated, so you just keep pumping the fluids as much as you can. Climate change could be a factor. I mean, we hear of the high temperatures in India, is India or Pakistan, in Asia, as we speak. They're very high temperatures nowadays, and those people need to keep high and keep temperature. And if you're older, we're talking about kids now, but in the very young and the very old, they're more susceptible to heat illnesses because they're unable to regulate the changes themselves. Right, the body's able to regulate and adjust to sudden changes. Coconut water is one of the things that we should mention. Coconut water is good as a rehydration solution as well. It's natural and so on, but it's high in potassium. And there again, if you have a heart problem, or if you're on various medications, or if your kidneys are not functioning, then you shouldn't take yourself too much coconut water, but you can use coconut water in addition to what you're taking, the plain water, in order to keep yourself well hydrated. We want the physical education teachers, the other persons who assist physical education teachers, the parents in particular, to take heed of the advice and keep your children very hydrated, and you'll see better performances, longer performances, and more sustained performances from your kids.